Hello, my name is Tyler Berry, and I'm a solutions engineer here at Sifted. And today I wanted to walk you through the FedEx Demand Surcharge announcement for 2025. Overall, it's very similar to last year and should look very familiar to you if you did any FedEx shipping at the end of 2024. There are three categories of charges we'll look at today. The first is the demand surcharges for additional handling, oversized, and unauthorized packages. These are similar to charges year round. Next, we'll look at the demand surcharge that's charged on a per package basis by service type. And then lastly, we'll look at the demand residential delivery charge to also look at. So I'm going to scroll back up here and we'll look at these first three. You'll notice that these also have a charge that's in effect year round. So the criteria is the same. If you get an additional handling charge, you'll also get a demand additional handling surcharge. And the lower tier costs increased about 6 to 7%, whereas the higher tier costs increase about 9%. So some additional costs and increase to be aware of there. And we'll come to the demand surcharge that's charged on a per package basis. These were also in effect last year. One thing to be aware of is that these kick in about a month later, but then follow a similar pattern where the cost goes up on November 24th to that higher tier cost, and then back down to the lower tier cost on December 29th. A couple of things to watch out for here are for the ground service types. These were the ones that went up the most. The lower tier cost last year was 30 cents, but this year went up to 40 cents. So that's about a 33% increase, which can really add up. The express service types went up about 5%. And then the ground economy package services, these went up about 12 to 15%. Similar patterns to last year, just with some increased cost. We'll next take a look at the demand residential delivery charge, which has some additional calculation and qualification criteria. The verbiage and logic is the exact same as last year, but as a review, your baseline shipping was calculated during the month of June for both ground and express service types. And then you were charged based on how much over that you are. If we come down to the chart here, you can see the costs. And this is very similar to last year, same pattern with some additional costs. It's about 5 to 7% higher than in 2024. But really the best way to show how this works is to show an example. And this next chart has a calculation week and then an application week. So what they're going to do is during the calculation week, they're going to determine what tier you fall into. They call it the peaking factor. And then during the application week, you'll receive a per package charge for every package with that service type. So during the week of October 6th, if I am 200% above my baseline, then during the week of October 27th, I would pay the $3.10 for these ground service types. And then for the express, you'd be paying $4.35 per package. You can be in a different tier based on the week. You could potentially be, if you're like expediting more packages, you could fall into this higher tier, and then maybe the ground, you could be at this lower tier. One very important note though is that you do need to ship 20,000 packages during that week in order to qualify for that. You can see some of the fine print there. So many of you smaller and medium-sized shippers out there won't even pay this charge. But really the best way to know if you're going to pay this charge and to project your charges is to look at your shipping data. And at Sifted, we've actually pre-built a report that helps you know and project what's possibly going to happen during the demand season. So I've clicked here into reports and then this FedEx Demand Surcharge. This homepage is just everything aggregated already for you. This is basically just using your 2024 data as well as that June baseline to help project what your charges are going to be, with also the price increases baked in as well. But I'll click on one of these. This is that residential charge that we were just talking about. And you can see here that for this client, they don't quite reach that 20,000 threshold. So they do not qualify for that peak residential charge. You can know at that point that you don't need to do any additional calculations because they aren't going to qualify for that demand residential charge. But they do have to pay the base demand charge, which is that per package rate that we talked about. And you can see by week what that's going to look like. So just some additional insight and calculations into their data. I'll come back out here to the summary and look at one of these other ones. Let's look at the additional handling one, because for this client, they don't have any oversized or unauthorized. But if we click in there, then you can see the demand additional handling surcharge, and you can see what happened actually in 2024 and then what could potentially happen in 2025 based on your 2024 data, with also the cost increase baked in there. I know some of you out there may have a discount. You can put that in here, and maybe you're projecting your volumes up or down. You can also model that out as well here for the additional handling charge and know what the bottom line is going to be. So I'm going to click back out here to summary. Just wanted to show you that because this is a great tool to get some insights into your data. For any other questions you have about the demand charges or any other insight into trends with your shipping data, reach out to us at Sifted and we can definitely help you out. Thanks.